I'd like to welcome you to the April 2nd Town Board meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where's my phone? Okay, roll call.
John Baisley, first ward.
Bill Carlos, second ward.
Joe Conti, third ward.
Michael Safone, fourth ward.
Stefan Cracker, fifth ward.
Ann Shershun, sixth ward.
Todd Tancredi, supervisor.
Felicia Salvatore, town clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town. Pardon me.
All right, we have some special guests with us tonight, but I think they're waiting for a few more of their teammates to show up. So what I'd like to do with the board's approval is we can open, first public hearing is being withdrawn, as you can see. We can open the second public hearing, take comments on it, and when they are here and they have everyone, it's the Spagnol Boys varsity basketball team won state championship. So we've asked them to come in so we can recognize them and give them some proclamations. So if the board agrees, when they come in, we'll temporarily halt the public hearing so we can recognize them and get them in and out. Is that all right with the board?
That's fine.
All right. So I make a motion to open public hearing number 2, which is Salt Point Center Amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to public hearing number 2? All right, seeing no one, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jay?
Be enacted the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to a public hearing held on the second day of April 2014, 7 p.m., Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby amend Chapter 210 entitled Zoning, specifically Section 21011 and 210-26, pertaining to the amendments to the Salt Point Center. Be it further enacted that the amendments are attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the town does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the records if they, in fact, have been read verbatim. And be it further enacted, the town board has previously declared its intent to act as a lead agency under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and does declare said action to be an unlisted action. Be it further enacted, the town board has reviewed the short form environmental assessment form, EAF, prepared by the Director of Municipal Development and hereby determines that, 1, the adoption of the herein zoning amendment would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and 2, a draft environmental impact statement will not be required for reasons set forth in the attached determination of no significance. 3, negative declaration is hereby issued. Be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated April 2nd, 2014 was received from Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development stating the proposed amendment was a matter of local concern. Being further enacted, that a written recommendation dated March 24, 2014 was received from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board in which said board recommended adoption of the herein amendments. Be it further enacted that the town clerk notify the clerks of surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on March 17, 2014 and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on March 18, 2014. And be it further enacted, said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. This letter that was on the desk from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, it says that they are strongly opposed to serious concerns about the proposed addition of motor vehicle repair facility and motor vehicle service facility.
Okay.
So this is just a recommendation to us. It has nothing to do with
It's
our...
the county's opinion on this.
And the reason for this is there already exists a motor vehicle facility where we're moving the zoning to. So they would be grandfathered in anyway, so that's why it's there. They already exist.
Right there.
For that gas station.
Yeah, and it is for only this one. It's not for all the master plans, it's just for this one.
Okay.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right. Coach, you think everybody's coming that's going to come? All right. why don't we get started then? Jay Baisley's the chairman of our rec committee. You want to join me up front? And our director of recreation, Tom Aring? All right, we have a special recognition tonight. The Spakenville boys varsity basketball team won their state championship. So, oftentimes we hear bad news in the press and, maybe from town governments, but we thought this was a real positive thing for our town. We're proud of the accomplishment, the basketball team, their accomplishment of this year. So we wanted to bring them in and give them some recognition and honor them for this accomplishment. And I think the thing they've shown us once again is that, teamwork means everything. And I'm sure these guys would tell you, by themselves, they wouldn't have been able to win any games, or, maybe one of them could have eked out a win against a full team. But, teamwork is what's important. It's important for town government. It's important in sports, and we want to honor them for their accomplishment. So I'm going to read the proclamation we have for them, and then we have one for each team member and the coaches. So the guys that are here, when I read your name, come on up, and we'll give you these. Proclamation says, whereas the town board town of Poughkeepsie, on behalf of the town of Poughkeepsie and all residents of the town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby salute, and it'll have the player's name, as a member of this 2014 Section 9 Class B Championship varsity basketball team from Spackhill High School. And whereas the town of Poughkeepsie is proud to honor the person's name, who gives his positive attitude, dedication, and talents to serve the Spackhill High School varsity basketball team. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby enthusiastically proclaim and extend its congratulations, and be it further resolved that an original proclamation be forwarded under the great seal of the town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, State of New York, to each individual player. And first up, and hope you'll have to excuse me if I make a mess of any of your names, but I'll do my best. Connor Lagasse. Congratulations. Next we have Daniel Lagasse. Colin Leggiardo. You might as well stay here a minute. Cameron Abelas. Congratulations. Benjamin Jenkins. Andrew, this one's a tough one. Sawani. Hope I didn't mess it up too much. Congratulations. Alexander Strom. Derek Lowe. Congratulations. I can see why these guys are basketball players. Ibrahim Haddad. Jeffrey Bell. Congratulations. Joseph Mills. Congratulations. Timothy Kukumak. Stanley Garant. Justin Etz. And we have assistant coach Tom Bell. Thank you. Congratulations, coach. And we have Coach Terry Feely. Congratulations.
Kids playing baseball.
Would you like to
so
say anything?
I appreciate it. It was a great year for us. I think as impressive as the sectional championship that we got, these guys were selected, got the sportsmanship award for all of Dutchess and Ulster County. So they showed you could win and do it the right way. So very proud of this group.
Congratulations again. Thanks for being here.
JV.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Item 3.
I make a motion to open public hearing number 3, home occupations zoning amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry. Eric, is this just to set the date, or is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Really?
Oh, so we're done with our public hearings, okay. All the excitement with the basketball team has me confused. All right, let me do this. Let me go through the agenda items, and I was all ready for a bunch of public hearings, and good. So I'm going to go through the agenda items, then we'll take questions on agenda items. So as I said, number 3 is to set the public hearing for home occupation zoning amendment. 4 is also to set the public hearing from the McDonald Heights Center map amendment. 5 to set a public hearing for McDonald Heights Center code amendment. 6 to set the public hearing for River Point Residential and West Park Professional Building approval of senior housing overlay district. 7 is to extend the designation waterfront housing overlay district O'Neill Dutton. 8 is to approve opening day Babe Ruth parade.
We're rescheduling it, that's all.
Pardon me?
You already approved it, they're just rescheduling it.
Approving the reschedule, okay. 9 is to ratify supervisor's execution of the Stop DWI agreement. 10 is to authorize dollar right amendment and extension for 2014. 11 is to approve, 11 and 12 are both fireworks approvals, 11 for Marist College, 12 for Vassar College. 13 is to waive 30-day liquor license approval for the Bluestone Bistro. 14 is to waive any building fees associated with rebuilding together. They're doing a renovation on Stephanie Lane this year. 15 is to accept the resignation of Carl Osterman, who's our court attendant, and 16 is to appoint Carl Osterman as a substitute court attendant. 17 is notification from state DOT. 18 is notification of a liquor license for Crafted Cup. 19 is notification of a notice of claim. And then we have a few special consents. Special consent number 1 is a resignation in our police department of one of our assistants. 2 is to accept the resignation of Marcy Marlowe from our ZBA. And 3 is notification of notice of claim. So I make a motion to suspend the rules for questions on agenda items. Favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to the agenda? Doreen? Thank you for keeping me in line.
Time. Okay, agenda item for home occupation zoning amendment. I did send an email to the town board today and about the proposed change for signs allowed, and it had said that it would allow a freestanding sign in a residential district not to exceed 8 feet in height, and I brought that to the attention of the board, and the supervisor said that would be taken care of.
Yeah, it's good. The language is going to, the language proposed is revert back to the original language.
Okay, and that was a nameplate of 2 square feet that can be
Yes.
illuminated or
Yeah, and they were-
animated?
Yes, yep. And the resolution that the board has in front of them has that.
Okay, all right. And since we discussed this last time, I noticed some changes had been made to address parking. And so there's provisions now to add adequate off-street parking for, or sufficient, it says, for customers and non-resident employees. But what I wonder is how you were going to enforce that, because let's say you have, and I sent this also as an example, if you had a driveway that could fit like 4 cars and your family had 4 cars, and now you're going to let your customers or clients and your non-resident employees use the driveway, and now your family cars will be out on the street. So that really doesn't
No, I
address
don't think that would fly either.
So I don't know how
How
that,
does the ZBA handle it now? Because, I mean, some of the businesses, if a business is right in a neighborhood and the average driveway holds 2 cars, has the ZBA been allowing those businesses to operate with overflow into the neighborhood?
I think it depends on if residents will complain and take it, call it in and register a complaint.
Could we, because I know Neil took a stab at trying to tie it up so that you had to have adequate parking, but can we do it so that if there is adequate parking, all the parking will be off-street? It's one thing if parking is going to be on-street, then that goes to ZBA absolute.
We have to figure out a way to word it so it makes sense. In Doreen's
The two
example-
examples I would use would be Spackenkill Road, where you have the chiropractor
Yeah.
and the dentist, and the chiropractor.
Those are exceptions.
No, but that's what I said. The chiropractor the other day, I counted, I think there were like 8 cars with still spaces available, and they were all.
Yeah, those are very few and
They
far
were-
between.
right.
Doreen's example, my view is you go to the intent of the law. The intent of the law isn't so if the family has 4 cars and they move them into the road so customers can now park in the driveway, I think they would rightfully be asked to come before the zoning board, and the zoning board would, in my opinion, hear that, because I think it goes to the intent of the law. Sometimes you can't guard against every possible scenario, but clearly the intent isn't to have the house's occupants, park their cars all on the street so customers can fill the driveway.
right, and
Right.
but my only point is, right now, if they go before the ZBA would address these issues, hopefully, and again, neighbors would have a chance to bring up their concerns. So I really, I really don't know how you would be enforcing this parking provisions in here.
But do we? We have commercial properties that are right next to residential areas in Arlington where you have, the employee. I don't know what it is right nearby, but the employees are parking out on the street so that there is parking available for the customers. I don't think we do anything about those situations, do we?
I think 2C almost covers it.
Didn't we get
Agreed. It sort of gives the zoning board a chance to pull them back in. It says are limited to no more than 5 clients or customers at a time. In addition to parking for employees, the zoning board of appeals shall ensure the sufficient off-street parking for clients and customers. It's not sufficient if it's pushing the homeowner out into the street. So they could bring them back in on that principle alone.
Well, right, but you're not going to go before the zoning board in every case now.
They can bring them back for that. If they go out there and they start, and then they start doing, they can cite them and bring them back.
But even the limit no more than 5 clients or customers at a time, to me, that's not necessarily the relevant part. I think the issue really is the on-street parking. So,
I like it. I like pushing and bringing them in if they have that many customers, because that gives the zoning board the opportunity to take a look at it, to weigh in, and make a decision.
But am I missing something?
Are these
in all
criteria?
cases, this won't be going to the zoning board now.
In all cases, no.
No.
It won't. The way this is written, the way it originally was written is if you had 1 employee, you were allowed 1 employee and a max of 2 customers. Now the way it's written, you can have two employees and 2 customers before you have to go to the zoning board.
The criteria where under C2, are those ceilings, or are those, if you have more than that, you have to go to the ZBA? Because 2C says no more than 5 clients or customers, but again, if I use the chiropractor, because I drive by there every day, there were 5 cars in the driveway in the parking area, and then on the side driveway, there were 2 cars, which I'm guessing were probably employees' cars, and there were still probably about 4 spaces available.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not.
I think that chiropractor, if he were opening today, in any of our codes, would have to come before the zoning
But
board.
the ZBA would be able to say.
Oh, yeah.
That fits, and you can have,
Right.
you're not limited to 5 customers
No,
per
if it
day
fits, they,
or at a time.
Yeah, and Todd, this new copy that we were handed out says you're only allowed 1 non-resident employee for the part
that was
on
the way it
one.
was originally written. There's been some
One handed out
discussion.
now
and-
says 1.
So C1A is now back to 1 employee?
Well,
There's multiple versions that I have
Yeah.
just sitting right here.
the discussion last week, not last week, the week before, had 1.
Right.
Some of you had said you liked the 1, others said you liked the 2, so that's the question we had before. us. Which way do we want to
I
go?
think who cares?
The 1.
Who cares how many employees you have? Let's say there's 2 employees that carpool to work, and you have the person who lives there and 2 other employees. You have 3 employees.
Yeah, but if you have 2
difference.
employees in only 15% of your floor space, that doesn't make any sense. If you're that busy, you require 2 employees, you should go before the ZBA, make sure you're a good fit for the neighborhood.
Yeah, I agree.
But if they're not,
This says.
Doreen, do you have any other questions? Because this is supposed to be a question
Yeah, no,
for the audience.
okay,
so,
just the other thing,
remember, this is questions on the agenda, so.
Yeah, just one more
This
thing
isn't a
about
public
this.
hearing.
So the payment part is,
Payment?
yeah, that's removed, where it says, you say in payment of a fee as set by the town board.
Yeah,
Has
that's-
that been removed?
I recommended we remove it. I didn't like making people pay, whether it was $10 or $20.
Okay, so,
To register.
want-
all right,
found
so
out,
so
to
there'll be a
register.
you
new,
prefer compliance rather
Yes.
than
so there'll be a
cash.
new copy with the latest and greatest changes posted on the website.
Before the public hearing?
Well, I mean, yeah, as soon as possible.
Before the public hearing, if we agree to set a public hearing date, it'll be on before the public hearing.
The other thing that I think would be good to add.
Doreen, there's not that many changes. I mean, you can see some of the changes we discussed with a couple things you brought up. Beyond
Yeah.
that, there's not that many
Yeah, I think
changes.
there's 4. I think there were 4
So-
sections.
Right.
So it's just good to, I think, look at the latest version.
Are we gonna?
Jim, did you have something?
I just have some information about the history of this.
Oh, okay.
I'll wait for the public hearing.
Oh, okay, yeah, if we get there. Jim?
Yeah, hi. A couple comments on the same topic. As I listen to the discussion further here, I guess it sounds to me like this is being set up to make it easier for people to start businesses at home versus protecting the character of the neighborhood.
I don't agree with that, but I'll let you continue.
Okay. All right, well, that's what it sounds like to me. And Councilman Baisley said, like if they exceed a certain amount, well, then they would be cited for that. And that's good. But to me, that also sounds like we're back to the neighbors getting the responsibility to turn people in. And that was one of the things that I know Councilman Krakauer said, now if people go over, then, the neighbors, if they don't like them, they can turn them in. But if the neighbors don't turn people in for doing this, the town's not out there driving around looking for people starting up businesses, at their house.
No, right, I agree.
Yeah, and, I got to tell you about our street, 31 years ago when we moved in there for a good number of years, you could drive around that street. There's over 100 houses between Colburn and Andrea, and you rarely saw a car parked in the street. People kept them in their driveways, they worked, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And over the past, 7, 8, 10 years or whatever, I don't know what's happening, but when you drive around in nice weather, when people can park on the street, there's more cars on the street just from people who live there. And, I did a little, thought pattern after I left here the last time, and I thought about the people on our street that could potentially, start businesses, have businesses with the technology today, which is maybe part of your impetus. You're thinking that with the technology, more people can start businesses at home. But that's the problem, is with today's technology, more people can do this at home. And you're kind of opening the floodgates, and I fear that the character of the neighborhoods will suffer as a
Jim, I don't think we're looking for big business. We're looking for like the single person. And if you know, and you from where you work, there's probably 200 people in any given neighborhood that are working from home, just because it's not called a business, whether they work for a bank or somewhere else. Oh, I'm working home today. I'm working home today.
Yeah.
It's become a very common practice.
Yeah. Well,
so if you got the one person, I have 3 of them in my neighborhood. I know for a fact they all got laid off, and they all run some kind of software, something at their house, but they have nobody there.
Yeah.
They have I think that's
Yeah,
what's
and that's the way it was presented originally, is you're allowed one employee and no more than 2 customers. Otherwise, you have to come before the zoning board to seek zoning board approval. So, I think the original intent was to better identify when you do and when you don't have to come before the ZBA. And as Jay said, if you have a lady making cookies in her home and she's not impacting her neighborhood, we don't want a fee from her in order to have that. She gets to have that, job out of her home, and it's not impacting the neighborhood, and we're not going to bother, and we shouldn't.
Yeah.
When you start to have more employees and more customers, and even visits to the home, is when I think the zoning board ought to take a look at it personally and weigh in. But
in terms of people working at home, Councilman Baisley's correct. A lot of people work at home these days. I work at home, but I don't have a business. I don't have clients. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't have deliveries. I'm there with my computer and the telephone. That's it. It would be no different if I was retired and sitting there, reading my email. And
the reality is, most of what falls, I think, into the first category, we wouldn't know if they exist or they don't exist. Mm-hmm. I mean, because they're there already. But so I think the only thing that was trying to do was say, and again, and what I tried to communicate last time, maybe I didn't do it well, maybe I'm not going to do it well right now, but if you have a business, that's your way of paying all of your bills, and you operate out of your home, and you have an employee, or you have a few customers stop by every once in a while, and most people wouldn't come to the town to get permission to do that. That first category, I thought, would give someone the opportunity to say, I'm going to come to the town, tell them what I'm doing, make sure it's okay, and not have to worry about my neighbor calling up and saying, hey, my neighbor's running a business out of his house, shut him down, and all of a sudden my ability to pay my bills is shut down with that.
I agree with you 100%.
I thought that would encourage compliance, not people avoiding the rule. Yeah. The second category, I agree. You should be more of a catch-all that says, if we're not sure, drop them in the second category. And I don't see it here, but I had talked to Neil about adding it where the zoning administrator had the authority with that first category to say, I looked at your application, I'm not completely comfortable that it's what the intent was, we're going to send it over to the ZBA. So when in doubt, bounce it to the ZBA, let them decide it. Mm-hmm. And that would protect us from having those things where you go, oh, on paper it looks fine, but in reality, no. The other thing that I thought would probably make sense was that we have a recertification, at least after the first year, that you got to come back in, say this is what I've been doing for the past year, and show that I've only had 1 or 2 customers at a time. I have 1 or 2 commercial visits at a time. If you've gone over that, then you got to go to the ZBA. So we have some sort of checks and balances to make sure that we gave you a simplified process because you're not really doing too much. Nobody would know you're there unless you came and told us you were there anyway. And we want to make sure that that's what you're doing.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
It's not intended to just open up the floodgates and say do whatever you want.
No, not at all.
What scares me is hearing, 2 employees and two clients. That to me says 2 cars show up, they're going to be there all day that weren't there before, and 2 clients can be coming and going. So now instead of my relatively bucolic neighborhood, all right, I've got cars coming and going all day now.
Well, but the other thing is, the parking on the street. Streets are made for driving on and parking on. I mean, in most communities, people park on the street. When the weather's bad, you can't park on the street because you've got to get the plows through there. But the reality is, on any given sunny day in the summertime, if somebody parks on the street, big deal. As long as they're not blocking your driveway, in all honesty, I think you expect that people park on public streets. There's certain areas that are posted that you can't for whatever reasons, whether it's visibility, whatever it is. But as long as you're not blocking your driveway, people park on public streets all the time in all the communities all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that we're not going to let you do it because you might be making a profit off of it.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. What I said was you're adding, vehicles coming into a neighborhood. It's coming and going. It's parking on the street. And yeah, you're right. People do park on the street some places, but we're also talking about the character of the neighborhoods changing. I can go to Manhattan. All right, there's cars parked all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
My neighborhood's not Manhattan. All right, but it's changing. Okay, what you're doing is adding a change. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. I think and is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to, again, these questions on agenda items is what we're taking tonight. All right, seeing no one, I make a motion to the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's move to the agenda, and we can take this discussion up when we get to the item, which is the next one.
Okay, so
Surprisingly enough.
item 3 is set the date for the public hearing, right?
Right.
Right.
Right, and the discussion last week, I think Doreen made about the sign for the, let's call it the
Yeah.
single proprietor was a valid one. It's in the old code. It was omitted from the rendering, or the proposal we had last week. It should be a nameplate, 2x2. The discussion other than that last week basically revolved around employees and how many. The original proposal was to allow one employee,
Right.
as Stefan said, if you have the homeowner who's got one employee, limit to 2 customers, they could operate through a registration process. You go more than that, and it pulls you in front of the ZBA. The question came up, how many employees? If we're not ready to set the public hearing date, we won't set it, but I just need some direction as to where the board wants to go with this.
I kind of like the idea of a review. If we're going to let the zoning administrator, let's just say it's just one man and he's doing software, and every once in a while he gets a UPS truck, we want to encourage him to register. That's why we don't have a fee or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be a review. I think Stefan was right with that. At
Yes.
some point. But we don't want it so onerous that we don't have people coming forward and saying, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. We're going to rely a lot on the zoning board administrator, zoning administrator, to make the difference between what it can be.
Yes.
The other thing in that first category, which I talked to Neil about, and I don't think I see it in here, but was my suggestion that rather than put in the things that we don't allow you to do, put in the things that we do allow you to do without having to come in to the ZBA, because that list should be very specific and limited, because when you put in when we try to list what you can't do, someone will come up with other things that we didn't think of.
Yeah.
If we list only what you can do, then that list is
Yeah, I agree.
That list is specific. If somewhere down the road, someone comes in and says, here's a business that I want to do, I'm only operating it, me and, one other person, I
Yeah.
thought I should have been able to fit. We could always amend it and add, but I think we're safer to list what you can do.
Yeah, I thought
on
about that.
category.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to worry about the
I
fact
think
that we
you're
forgot something out.
Yeah, at first, I didn't know. After thinking about it, I agree with you. Here's what I would suggest. Again, I'd like to make a motion to defer setting the public hearing date to a date in the future. If everyone could look at this, to read it, think about it, we can do something, we don't have to do anything, but we just need some direction, and we need to kind of have, this discussion, prior to setting the public hearing date.
Second.
All right?
And if we could maybe have Jim put his 2 cents in, because he was
Yeah.
going to talk the public hearing.
Yeah, you want to come on up, Jim? Sure.
Mr. Challey.
Dr. Challey.
Jim Challey, 35 Park Avenue.
His evidence.
I went back over the last 4 years of records of the ZBA, and there have been exactly 5 applications for home occupations, and one of those was withdrawn. The other 4 would all have fallen under the second category. where you would
Had to
have to
come
go
in
before
and-
the ZBA. And the critical item in that turns out not to be the number of cars or the number of employees, but the size of the space. 15% of the habitable area of a home is not very big. I mean, that you're talking a kitchen and small kitchen. Okay, so almost all of those that we looked at, and they ranged from a kind of a medical therapy to baking. Actually, there were 2 home baking, and there was a third. The final, the 4, was somebody who wanted to make hard cider, and I don't think they actually went through with it. So in terms of the proposed amendment, very few things that we have seen would qualify as simply go and register.
By right, okay.
Although I do like the idea because, as several of you have pointed out, right now anybody can take a spare bedroom, call it an office, and work from home. Nobody's got a problem with that. Where you do have a problem is where either you have employees that are coming in or several customers. That's where you get the coming and going, and then it becomes obvious in a neighborhood. In all the cases we've looked at, the issue of the employees has not been that's been minor, and in all of the cases that we've looked at, they all had a lot of off-street parking, long driveways, wide areas in the backyard where cars could go, and in many cases this was important because if they got deliveries of any kind, you needed a place for the delivery truck to go in to unload. So they all had pretty big areas where you could drive in and turn around. And to my knowledge, none of those that we looked at involved any cars parking on the street. So in terms of the history, that's what you're looking at. Quite frankly, having this on the books may not be a bad idea. I think in practical terms, certainly in terms of the ZBA, I don't think it's going to make much difference.
Jim, I think something I'd love to have, and I'm sure the board would agree, if you get the proposed changes, and we can give you a clean copy, and jot down, look it over and just email us all your comments.
I'd be happy to distribute it to the members of the board and see
great.
what they think.
As zoning board chair, I think that's important.
Well, the other thing is we're writing a law that you got to use, so it would be nice if you like it on the front end.
Have that
Yeah,
input.
it would be helpful. We've got a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. We'd be happy to
be great.
to
Absolutely
kick
wonderful.
it around. This is not one of those issues where we've had split votes or contention. And mostly what we hear when we have our public hearings is people coming in and saying, gee, what's this about? In only one case was the real opposition from neighbors. And in most cases, it's just, what's this?
Yeah.
What is this?
Okay.
So,
Good.
but happy to do that, and I'll
Thank you.
report back.
Great, thanks.
Thanks,
Jim.
Great comment.
Anybody else like to? All right. So we have a motion and a second to defer this to setting of the public hearing to a date in the future. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, number 4, where are we?
Yeah.
Bill, set public, well, actually, I'm very confused. We were actually taking comments on agenda items, so let's now start with agenda item, right?
No, we went into the first agenda item. Yeah.
Well, we did the public hearing. That was setting the date for the public hearing. We're taking comments on agenda items, which we just did.
Right.
I made a motion, Bill seconded.
We're on 4.
That's right. We're on number 4, all right.
And number 4.
Let's get back on track.
Are we on number 4?
Bill,
Round
you're up.
number 4.
Try 4. We can always circle back to.
The rookie would be, so I want to make sure I'm on the right one.
So let's go with 4 and see what happens.
Whereas by Resolution 1214, number 2 of 2011, the Town Board changed the zoning designation of certain parcels within the McDonald Heights Center, MHC, district, so that the entirety of said district is located on the south side of Dutchess Turnpike between Dutchess Business Park and Darrow Place. And whereas the Town Board has received a communication from the Director of Municipal Development recommending that the boundaries of the McDonald Heights Center District be returned to the original configuration pursuant to zoning map adopted on September 27th, 2007, and whereas a review of the adopted town plan, relevant pages of which are attached hereto and made part of this resolution, indicates that the original boundary of said district was intended to encompass both sides of Dutchess Turnpike, and whereas the action to amend the zoning classification of these parcels is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and it's implementing Regulation 6 NYCRR Part 617, the CEQA Act, and whereas the Town Board has determined that the proposed amendment must be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development and to the Town Planning Board for review and recommendation, and whereas the amendment of the zoning map, Section 210-11 of the Town Code requires a public hearing, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendment to change the zoning designations of the affected tax parcels for May 7th, 2014 at 7 p.m. or as soon as thereafter as matter may be heard in the Town Hall, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And whereas the Town Board hereby states that because only the Town Board can consider and adopt changes to the Town Code, that is the only involved agency, and the Board hereby declares that it is the lead agency for purposes of coordinating the environmental review of this matter pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law, and the Town Board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for a recommendation pursuant to General Municipal Law 239M, and the Town Board refers the matter to the Planning Board for an advisory report pursuant to Town Code 210 sub 154. The Town Board directs the Town Clerk to notify the Town Clerks of the Town of LaGrange the public hearing pursuant to General Municipal Law 239NN. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 5.
Whereas by Resolution 1214, number 5 of 2011, the Town Board changed the maximum residential density within the McDonald Heights Center, MHC, district from 6 units per acre to 4 units per acre. And whereas the Town Board has received a communication from the Director of Municipal Development recommending that the maximum residential density of the McDonald Heights Center, MHC, district may be returned to its original density pursuant to the zoning law adopted on September 27, 2007. And whereas a review of the adopted town plan, relevant pages of which are attached hereto and made part of this resolution, indicates that the original maximum residential density of said district was designed to help offset the potential loss of housing opportunities in the town resulting from the general upzoning of residential zoning districts throughout the town. And whereas the proposed amendment is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and it's supplementing Regulation 6 NYCRR Part 617, Seeker. And whereas the Town Board has determined that the proposed amendment must be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development and to the Town Planning Board for review and recommendation. And whereas amendment of the zoning map, Section 210-11 of the Town Code requires a public hearing. Now, therefore be it resolved that 1, the Town Board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendment for May 7th, 2014 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard in the Town Hall, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 2, the Town Board hereby states that because only the Town Board can consider and adopt changes to the Town Code, that it is the only involved agency, and the Board hereby declares that it is lead agency for purposes of coordinating the environmental review of this matter pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. And 3, the town board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for recommendation pursuant to GML 239M. And 4, the town board refers this matter to the planning board for an advisory report pursuant to the town code sections 210154. And 5, the town board directs the town clerk to notify the town clerk of the town of LaGrange of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby set the 7th day of May, 2014 at 7 p.m. Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as and for the date, time, and place of a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Town Code, Chapter 210, entitled Zoning, specifically Section 210-20, which amendment will be as follows. An application for a designation as a senior housing overlay district for a project known as River Point Residential and West Park Professional Buildings, and further identified as 2 parcels, one at 2055 South Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, consisting of 6.42 acres, parcel grid number 615903375410, and one at 83 Old Post Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, consisting of 0.18 acre, parcel grid number 615903365369, plus an additional 0.54 acre contiguous land in the New York State Highway right-of-way proposed for acquisition for the project, all being zoned office research. To be it further resolved that the Planning Board of Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore been designated as the lead agency, adopted seeker negative declaration for the project, and submitted a positive recommendation dated March 20th, 2014, that the proposed action is an unlisted action, and be it further resolved that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby authorize and direct Town Clerk to send a copy of the proposed law to the Dutchess County Planning for recommendation as required by general municipal law and the town's local law. And be it further resolved that if adopted, said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the extension of the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board's recommendation on a waterfront housing overlay district designation for the O'Neill Dutton project to August 15, 2014. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah. With these overlay districts and the town centers, there's a lot of residential density that's been tossed around. One of the concerns that I've had is we have a rec fee that's $5,000 per unit. We have these applicants that come in, and Councilman Sifone pointed out to the last one that, no, we intend on getting that rec fee, and they kind of toss it around as if it's sort of negotiable. I'd like to somewhere, if we can, Jim, in these overlays or in the town law, require it, not an option, not that the planning board will look at whether we'll take the rec fee or land. Because, you know, when we take land, we end up getting land that floods out and gets washed away every time a drop of rain hits. So I'd like, if we can, when we give these, especially the overlays, when we give any density with overlays or these town centers, that it's required that the applicant pay the rec fee per unit, no negotiation, no nothing.
So in the authorizing resolution you're talking about, you want to
Whether it's
call
in
out?
I'd like it in the town law, but it wouldn't hurt to be on an authorizing resolution also, just because I don't want these things to be open to negotiation. Our sewer connection fee isn't something that people come in and negotiate. Everybody pays the same thing. It's fair, it's even-handed, it makes sense. If we set it up front, make it crystal clear that there is no negotiation, it is what it is, then I think we avoid having to have people come in and tell us, well, you know, I've heard it over and over again, well, if ever a project shouldn't pay a rec fee because of all the spectacular things I'm doing for the world around us, you know, that's what they all open with. Mm-hmm. So somewhere in this, I'd like to make sure that we're not after the, and we had one where the town board insisted that the applicant pay the rec fee, and the planning board decided that the open space was good enough and they weren't going to charge them the rec fee. So, you know, when we're doing this, I don't want to hand it off and find out after the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, that recreation fee that you thought was coming in because of this, it just disappeared in the wind.
But could that affect some good property? I didn't mean to cut you off, Jim. I just want to retort. Could that affect some good property that they may be willing to give? I mean, could we use, I mean, if someone could say, look, I'm going to give you 40 acres.
A lot of these projects, when they get the density, they're clustering the housing.
No, I know that.
The extra acreage is something that they can't use anyway. So, you know, they usually throw us what they don't want or can't use. And the problem with that is we had a ball field that a few years back, while some of us were on the board, completely washed out because it was recreation land that was right by the stream. So I think it's better if the town gets that money, goes out and locates property or recreation opportunities, than have a developer toss us the worst piece. Generally, a developer isn't going to take their best piece of property, say, hey, by the way, the town's getting that for rec. We're going to build the houses over here in the bad part of the land. So I just want to make sure that it's not something that's subject to negotiation. And again, it just seems that every time someone comes in, they're telling us, oh yeah, we'll talk about that. I don't really want to have that as the option.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the rest.
And I agree, especially for the overlays and the centers. So, if there's a caveat that you need, and that's it. But Tom Marring's in the audience, and I see him smiling and stuff, and talks about our ball fields flooding out. Many of these fields the town got exactly that way years ago. Every spring, whether it's a soccer field or the Stanley Still Park or, they're flooding.
And when you look at these parks, we got a lot of people out there playing. My kids are starting to get to the age where they play on sports. The soccer field is jamming. The minute the field dries up, it's packed with people. The baseball fields are jamming. Every piece of land is packed with people using it. So if we're going to add a lot of density to the mix, we definitely need new recreation. And I think the best way for the town to approach that is get the funds in the trust fund and then go out and look where we want to spend it versus having somebody else just toss us the last piece of land. That's how we got all these crazy pocket parks that don't make a lot of sense.
That too, right.
Okay, I will work on that, and I'll also make sure I talk to Neil about it.
Okay,
Get it
thanks.
back to you. Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on item number 7. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I want to thank Eric Holman for being here tonight. He was here in case anybody had any questions. He didn't even get an opportunity to come to the microphone, but appreciate you being here, Eric.
Spirit.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore approved the application of Joan Eiteldorf on behalf of Poughkeepsie Bay Roof Baseball to hold its opening day parade on April 5th, 2014 at 10 a.m. And whereas due to extreme winter weather, the field will not be in condition for baseball on that date, now therefore be it resolved the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the request of Poughkeepsie Bay Roof Baseball to move the opening day parade to April 12th, 2014 at 10 a.m. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Joan Elmendorf. And I just want to suggest to anybody who hasn't been out to an opening day, it's a really good time. It's fun. The little kids are in their uniform. They do a parade. It's really worth the time out of your day to go see it. So,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby ratify the supervisor's execution of 2014 Stop DWI Enforcement Program contract with the County of Dutchess, copies of which are attached. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the supervisor to execute the 2014 Dial Right Amendment and Extension Agreement with the County of Dutchess, which agreement provides for a joint service transportation system for senior citizens and handicapped individuals with payments made by the town not to exceed $66,000. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from Marist College to include a fireworks display at its Riverfest event to be held on Friday, April 25th, 2014, with a rain date of May 20th, 2014. And whereas the applicant has notified the Fairview Fire District, and whereas a certificate of liability insurance has been filed with the town clerk, naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby provide an application, approve the application as submitted for a fireworks display to be held on Friday, April 25th at 9 p.m. at Marist College Riverfront Property, North Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Todd, on here, there's a letter in here that notifies that they notified the fire department. There's no letters coming back that the fire department actually acknowledged that they're notified. And we had our fire safety meeting. That was one of the issues we had, that sometimes they notify them and they actually never make a contact, either make a phone call to the fire department, hello, we called it. We'll bring up that they should be getting.
I actually did talk to Fairview today because I called them by accident. So they are aware of it.
Yeah, well,
Dial 911?
No.
well, from now on, Felicia, when they get these in, tell them we want a letter from them stating that
From
they're
the
actually
fire
acknowledged. Because they have a habit, some of these places just call them, like Arlington, saying, well, we're having an event, and whoever answers the phone says, okay, puts it down, and nobody acknowledges, and they don't really know what's going on. It was brought up by both departments that that's what's been going on.
Yeah, Felicia's gonna,
Working on that a little bit. so-
work on a new system of make sure we have notification. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 12?
We just
Bill?
did, right?
No, this is
No, we did Marist. Now we have
Oh,
the.
just Vassar now? Oh, good grief.
going to have a lot of fireworks.
I'll read it. Whereas the town board of Town Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from Vassar College to include a fireworks display at its Founder's Day weekend event to be held on Saturday, May 3rd, 2014, with a rain date of Sunday, May 4th, 2014. And whereas the applicant has notified the local fire department, and whereas a certificate of liability insurance has been filed with the town clerk naming the town of Poughkeepsie as additional insured. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of Town Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application as submitted for a fireworks display to be held on Saturday, May 3rd, 2014, with a rain date of Sunday, May 4th, 2014 at 9 p.m. on Vassar College property, Raymond Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby acknowledge receipt of a request from Glenn F. Kubista and Associates on behalf of Bluestone Bistro, 10 IBM Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, for a waiver of the 30-day review period for liquor license application. Be it further resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby approve the town clerk's forwarding of a waiver sent pursuant to the attached request. So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas Rebuilding Together Dutchess County will be undertaking a home improvement project on April 26, 2014 as part of their National Rebuilding Day program at 35 Stephanie Lane, Poughkeepsie, New York. Now therefore, be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive all fees for permits required for the necessary home repairs at 35 Stephanie Lane. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I visited last year the Rebuilding Together house, and they really do a nice job and make a big difference in these people's lives. So this is a very important thing to do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Carl Osterman from his position as permanent part-time clerk attendant effective immediately. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Great guy, he'll be missed.
All those in favor?
Rehire.
I know.
Not going too far.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Carl Osterman to the position of substitute court attendant at the salary of $15.50 per hour effective immediately. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
We're glad to have him aboard.
What do you think of them?
Great.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
The State of New York special use permit. 18 is a liquor license for Crafted Cup. 19 is a notice of claim legal. 20. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby grants special consent to the following items to wit. SC1, accept the resignation of Athena Kostakis from the Police Department. SC2, accept the resignation of Marcia Marlowe from the Zoning Board. SC3, notification, the following claim is referred to legal, Rivera versus Town. Be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the Town Board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Senior Clerk Athena Costas from the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department effective April 11, 2014. So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Hope she's going somewhere good.
She's got a full-time
I
job.
know.
We're gonna miss her. She did a great job.
Our benefit.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Marcy Marlowe from the town of Poughkeepsie zoning board of appeals effective immediately. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I want to thank Marcy for her years of service and hope she's back on her feet soon. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make a motion to, three's notification.
Just notification.
Yeah. Refer to legal. To make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on town items.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jim?
Jim Challey, 35 Park Avenue. Two things. One, speaking on behalf of the Zoning Board of Appeals, we just want to thank Marcy for many years of very dedicated, thoughtful, intelligent contributions to the work of the board. We'll miss her. My next comment is in my role with the Friends of Peach Hill. And about a year ago, the Friends of Peach Hill received a grant from an organization called Parks and Trails New York that supports outdoor activity. And the grant was to create a website. And we have finished that process, and I just wanted to let you know that the website now is up and live. You can find it at www.peachhillpark, all one word, .org. I think there's also a link from the town's recreation site. And I would urge all of you to have a look at it. It does some things that we've needed for a long time. One of the problems with Peach Hill Park is that people say, where is it? Okay, we've got a really good Google map to help you locate it. What can you do at Peach Hill Park? Okay, we show you. And in fact, if you would like, at a committee of the whole meeting, we'd be happy to sort of give you a little demo of it.
That'd be great.
If you'd like.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, I just like to take this opportunity, people that are watching on television, go have a look at it, peachhillpark.org, and hopefully this will make the park better known. I also just wanted to mention that we've got a really dedicated crew of volunteers that have been working on the park. And one of those that works probably or volunteers more than anybody else is Tom Meyering. So I just want to, tip my hat to Tom. Last Saturday, he was out there along with 6 or 8 of us pruning trees in the rain. The dedication of Tom and the others has been absolutely amazing, and thanks to them, we've been able to do some really nice things. So come visit us and let me know, and we'll put on a show for you.
Good. Thanks,
Okay.
Jim. Doreen?
I did have a question about the home business that was added last time that maybe somebody could just explain. It says not more than one vehicle used in commerce shall be permitted, and if it does, it has to be in a garage. So is that like a certain size truck, or if it's got writing on it or something? I couldn't find the definition of a vehicle used in commerce. Does anybody know?
idea.
Okay.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That wasn't a death threat.
Yeah, we're not interested in talking about that anymore right now.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I guess maybe I will email you
Yeah,
tomorrow.
well, when
and
we,
you can,
we'll
yeah.
regroup and look at that, and shoot me an
there
email.
was something added, and I forgot to ask
Okay.
before when I was
Yeah,
up there.
no
I just
problem.
wasn't sure what a vehicle used in commerce meant.
I don't know either. All
Okay.
right, thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, see,
I think what it meant was commercial vehicles.
commercial vehicles?
Is defined in the code.
Okay, all right, thanks, Jim.
It's a simple change.
Thank you. Commercial vehicle? Yeah, yes.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Hi.
Hi, on March 21st, the Arlington Professional Firefighters conducted a CPR class here in the town building for town employees. We had a couple of people who were newer students, and we had several who were recertifying. Received a lot of positive feedback about the professionalism of the class, and we'd like to thank the town board for supporting that.
And we'd like to thank the firefighters for doing that for us.
Okay, and we will be scheduling more in the future at different locations. It'd be nice to see maybe some of the town board attend.
Oh, would it be open to the public, or is it?
They're going to be at different. We're going to be having them at different locations. Yes, they'll be publicized and put out to the public.
Love to
All righty.
the next one.
As far as any board member who would like to attend, just let us know, and you're definitely welcome to it. We look forward to continuing the important public education. We appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Anybody else? All right, seeing no one, make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey.
Be it resolved, the town board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby adjourned to executive session concerning the following matters to wit. One, litigation, to discuss litigation strategy as the case known as Hildegard. Real estate matters to the extent the public disclosure of the discussion would substantially affect the value of the property. 3, confidential communications between the attorney and his client, the town board based on attorney-client privilege. And be it further resolved, there will be no action appropriating money. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
I missed it, didn't I?
Nobody.
Opposed?
Hey.
Motion passes. Town board adjourns to executive session at 8:08 PM.